everyone. It's that time again. You're watching Out of the Box podcast. I'm your host, Jim Andre. I have my co-host here, Bradley Powers, with a special guest today, Medium Red. How's everybody doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good to hear
Thank
that.
you for joining us, Medium Red.
Thank you for
Psychic
having me, guys.
Medium. Would you like to introduce yourself, Medium Red?
My name is Colleen Heldenbrand, and I'm a psychic medium called Medium Red. And thank you guys for having me on the show this evening. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you on. So you've been into like paranormal investigations and things of that nature.
I am. I'm actually part of a team called K-Hall Crew Paranormal. I think we just did an interview with you guys like roughly about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Matthew Turner. So part of their team, we cross over with other teams. I help other teams as well with their in paranormal investigations as well. And then just doing regular readings one-on-one for people, psychometry, platform mediumship, etc.
Out of all the investigations that you've done, is there any one in particular that stands out from the rest? Or?
Yeah, actually, we just completed our Clifton investigation, Clifton, Arizona, which is an old mining town. And we were there for our TV show that we do on Roku called, it's a Paranormal Family channel that we do a TV show on. And our TV show is called Spirit Chasers. So we were filming for our show, and there was a lady of the night who was in the hotel. The hotel used to be a brothel at one point in time. So back in 1895, she decided to become a lady of the night, and her husband was kind of okay with it, except he didn't want her to fall in love with one of her clients.
Right.
So she could bring some extra money into the household. Well, she did. She fell in love with one of her clients. So I guess the husband came up to her in the like around 11:18 at night. He grabbed her by the shoulder and slit her throat.
Oh boy.
And the only thing literally holding her head on was her spinal cord. And it took her about 23 minutes to pass away for her to bleed out on the floor. So when we were in Clifton, I went into her room, which is now a public restroom, and she let me experience her death. I lost all blood to my body. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I lost feeling in my hands. I lost feeling and color to my hands and my feet. They started tingling, and it was going up my legs. I thought my stomach, I thought I was going to toss cookies, for another word. One of my cohorts, part of my team, saw what was going on and got me out of there just in the nick of time before I kind of like passed out on the floor. But we had a woman that was with us that deals with hospice. She's a hospice nurse. And so she was telling me that that's typical of when somebody is dying, your body starts to take blood away from other areas of your extremities to protect your core and to protect your heart and everything. And they took photographs of me afterwards, and I am white, like a sheet of white. There's like no color on me whatsoever. And we got a great EVP when I'm saying, her name was Jenny. I'm like, Jenny, are you making me experience your death? And she's like, I am. And we have a great clear audio clip of that where it basically says, I am. So I'd have to say that was probably the most profound experience I've had as a medium right now to date. It was mind blowing.
Wow.
Very.
Yes, excuse me. I'm sharing the show. Oh, we've lost Jim Andre. Oh dear. I'm sharing the show as we speak.
I think we lost Jim.
Be back soon. Yeah, so I've asked you this question before. How long have you been a psychic medium, Medium Red?
Well, I realized I had a gift when I didn't really realize it until later, but I realized at 5 I could see things that people couldn't see. I could see dead people. I could talk to them. I also could see colors around people too, like auras around them. And my grandfather was the first individual that I ever saw. And my mom, being highly Catholic, she came in one day and I was having a tea party in the room, and she said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Well, I'm talking to, Pap. That was his name." And I said, she goes, "No, you can't be talking to him. He's dead." And I'm like, "I know, but he's right there." And I pointed across the little table that I had, and she's like, "That's demonic. You shouldn't do that, So she kind of put a kibosh on it because she didn't understand it and didn't know what to do. And it wasn't until I became an adult and had a conversation with Amy Bruni at one of the events. My husband actually is in the entertainment business, and we had an event with Amy Bruni from Kindred Spirits, and she and I got to talking, and she said, "Why are you not using your gift? You should use it." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll jump in and use it." So I did. Jumped in, and I met Misty and Marianne and started becoming, going to their paranormal investigations and helping them with the paranormal investigations. And it just kind of developed on from there. So I've had it my entire life. It's just that I haven't really used it in its best or in the maximum capacity until just recently, within the last 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. People joining us now. I shout out to David Nash. Thank you for joining us. Beth Ann, Morgan Roundtree, Minnie Rowan, Scott Hammonds. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Yeah. So, did you have any frightening moments? Scared you?
Not really. I'm so used to it now that I'm not really scared anymore. So, not really scared anymore. I've come face to face with a demon, and that was not so much scary as it was out of my pay grade, and I left. Another Clifton story where we were at a place that was an old apothecary, and the woman who owned the apothecary, she would use the bottom section as the store, and then the upper layer was where she'd have boarders come in. And so she had a boarder in there that was a young boy who I guess apparently had summoned a demon, did a pentagram with candles on the floor, had summoned a demon. She was more upset about it being a wood structure and the candles being there. So when she kicked out the boarder, she kicked out the host. So she had this demon living with her, and she was being levitated, and he only came at night, and he would feed off of her energy at night. And we were doing a little tour around Clifton, Arizona, and saw that. And I walked in and I looked up at the loft, and I saw this very imposing demon up there in the loft, and went, "I'm out of here." I wasn't scared of him, but I was more like, yeah, I'm not going to engage with him. Sorry, I'm out of here.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so demons are real. I've learned there's good demons and there's bad demons. That's what I've actually encountered.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about this, Medium Reg. Some demons can be repent by helping others to help themselves, enhance their lives, and enhance the lives of those around them. They can be offered repentance. Some demons can.
I agree with that.
That's all about intent, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, if you ever get possessed by a demon, you can always go to a shaman or a priest. Allegedly can remove possessions as well. Shamans, I would say, it would be a good source, or psychic medium even.
Yep, exactly. Another medium that specializes. That's what I was talking to her about. I was telling her, I go, this is beyond my pay grade. This is not something that I would do. But there are definitely psychic mediums out there that this is their little niche market that they do. And that's who I would call upon. Or like you said, a shaman. I think shamans would be the greatest, or a demonologist if necessary too. So yeah, that was a little out of my pay grade.
That's what you should consider, Bradley. With your
yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long have you had that, Bradley?
15 years. I got an entity in me 15 years, and he's not really welcome. I don't want him in me. 15 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. Yeah, that's a long time.
I had one before me then. He was 8 years, and then I had a 4-year break, and then I got this one for 15 years.
Wow.
I seem to attract. I'm like an antenna. I attract entities.
Mm-hmm.
Good
You're
or bad.
you're an open vessel. That's why you're very open. That's why I can tell that from you. You're a very open vessel.
Yeah, I reckon I am. I need to close the doors.
Yeah. Keep that wall up.
David Nash is asking, what is it about a demon that lets you know it's a demon? I wouldn't know the difference between demons and other bad entities. Is demon a blanket term?
I love it.
That's a very good question, David Nash. You can tell. Your psychic intuitive skills can tell you if that's a demon or if that's a spirit that was here before. Not demons normally have never lived on Earth before, whereas a lost soul, a tortured soul, a tormented soul has lived here before. And they may try to possess you. And you've got malevolent spirits as well,
right.
Malevolent, malicious, and you've got benevolent as well, which are good spirits. But you can tell if they're a demon. I think you'll find your intuitive skills will pick up on that.
Exactly.
What do you think, Morgan Red?
I agree with you. Yeah, I intuitively knew. I mean, from what I saw, he was well over 8 foot tall. He had long hands with these really curled fingers. The horns that he had were fully curled, which tells me that he was a very mature demon. And intuitively, I knew he was up to no good. So I hadn't even been there to hear any of the stories that the owner was talking about. We walked in later after the stories had already been told to us as to what was going on in the apothecary. So when I walked in, obviously, I mean, I just went straight and looked up and saw that he was standing in the loft and went, I'm out. No need for me to engage with him.
Although a demon word can be a umbrella word as well, and djinn is an umbrella word as well, because there are djinn out there, but djinn, anything outside of Christianity is classed as a demon, to be honest with you. If your parents came through to you, your late grandparents came through to you, the Christianity would define them as demons posing as your loved ones. Well, the truth is that's not exactly true, because your loved ones really can come through to you who have crossed over already, you know.
Hence the reason why my mom was telling me when I was 5, to stop this, because she thought when I was talking to my grandfather that he was a demon, and it wasn't. It was my grandfather. So it was definitely not a demon at all. I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead. I meant to.
But if a demon can portray a loved one, how can you tell which one is which? I mean, how do you tell what's legit and what isn't?
Sound frequency and vibration, Jim. You can pick it up on sound frequency and vibration. And what is their motive? What is their intent to talk to you? What that can tell you as well, Jim. Some Morgan Roundtree says the pup knows, a dog would know.
Yeah.
A dog knows.
Well, children and animals do know. They're not allowed. Well, I shouldn't say they're not allowed. They don't have the rationality that our parents put into us that make us discern that. So they're very innocent, and so they can see things and hear things that we as adults don't necessarily. We put a rational spin on it. So
Leah Lowe says, I've removed demons from people. There was a pretty bad one on my husband a while ago. Now I dream about them sometimes. Well done for removing that from your husband, Leah Lowe. Yeah, that means you're an exorcist, Leah Lowe. You're an exorcist. Are you an exorcist, Medium Red? You obviously are. You're not?
No, okay. I've never done exorcisms, and I don't know that I necessarily want to, but as soon as I say I never want to, that's usually when I get a case and I learn how to do it, So I guess I should never say never.
Never say never, yeah. David Nash says, so demons do have specific character traits then. Tall horns, curly nails. I think most demons are small. Yeah, demons come in all shapes and sizes, David Nash. And they do have character traits as well. And they can talk to you like a logical person using telepathy from in you or outside you. They can talk to you.
Yeah, this one was very audible. I mean, as soon as he realized that I was a medium, I mean, instinctively he knew exactly where I was in the room, and he came straight forward to the edge of the loft, and he was doing like this to me to come over, and he wanted to talk to me, and he's like, come talk to me. And I was like, bye. I'll see you later. Beyond my pay grade.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are saying hello. Hi there, Scott Hammonds, June Carriari. Hi there, thank you for joining us. Morgan Roundtree's in the house. Tammy Barnum is joining us. Leah Lowe. Forgive me if I haven't mentioned your name.
Leah Lowe says you can feel them. They yuck.
Yep. You don't get a good feeling from them whatsoever. It's usually, you can trust your gut. You have to trust your gut very much so with them.
Yeah. Yeah, trust your gut feeling. That's right. Medium Red. Trust your gut feeling.
Exactly.
Leah Lowe says, yeah, you can feel in their yuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite the experience, I have to say. And we actually had photographs. Our photographer was there, so I made sure that she knew where to photograph. So she was looking up at the loft and she took photographs, and we actually have photographs. And there is a dark black mist up in the corner, and you can clearly see it. And then the other person that was behind her was another photographer. So we put her taking a photograph too, like a couple seconds afterwards. And you could totally see that both of them got the same exact picture to a certain extent with that mist up in the upper corner. And it was hunched over because the space was so small. He was so large, he didn't fit. So it was wild. I mean, I pegged him to be at least 8 feet tall. I mean, it was wild. I mean, I looked at him, I looked at my husband and said, I got to go. I'm out of here.
Harold Sanford Carter III says, hi, Medium Red. Lovely guest we have here, folks.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, you've been a psychic medium all your life, starting from childhood. You recognised it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a voice hearer as well?
I am. It's sight, it's sound, it's sometimes I can smell, sometimes I can taste. It's all the different clairs. It just depends on the entity and how they want to communicate with me. I've had entities where they've given me like the taste of cigars. It's really bizarre. And I had one case where it was the husband used to smoke cigars, and we were determining whether or not he was in the house, and I kept tasting like the sweet tobacco flavor, and I don't smoke cigars. And so I kept explaining this to her, and she's like, well, that's got to be my husband. My husband smokes cigars, and he liked Romeo and Juliet's, which are very, very, very sweet flavored. And so you can taste it, you can smell it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can, see it. So it's wild. So all the clairs, depending on how they want to communicate.
Leah Lowe is asking, do you see them like see-through or like physical? How do they look to you energetically?
Actually, that depends on the entity. Sometimes they will present themselves. Usually I'll see them physically. but the way that they present themselves to me physically sometimes will be like how they want to be seen. So we get that freedom on the other side that if we feel like, I mean, arbitrarily, I'm going to choose, like, I feel like I looked the best when I was 40. So I might come back as a 40-year-old versus if I had died at 80. They'll choose how they want to show themselves to you based on how they want to interpret it, or to be able to tell the next person, or to tell the person in front of you when you're doing a reading, this is who you see.
So in other words, they could appear younger if they chose to.
Exactly. I had a case where it was in fact, it's a family member of ours, where I was a little hesitant to talk to her about it because I didn't know her past history on children. She currently has 3 boys right now, but for some reason, when I did a reading on her, I picked up that there was a little girl that she had lost. And I wasn't sure what the circumstances were. So when I finally was able to talk to her one-on-one, I had asked her, I said, did you have a miscarriage? She started crying profusely, and I felt so bad about bringing it up. But I told her, I said, there's this little girl that's around you, and she is the most adorable thing, and she looks just like you. She has the same blonde hair, the same curls, the same blue eyes, and she is just adorable. And she was 5. And so she has grown up on the other side and presented herself to me, in this case for her, to be able to identify who she is, to be able to tell her, this is who's around you. So they do grow up on the other side as well.
I have found I've seen them translucent lights. I've seen angels on 4 separate occasions, and I've seen quite numerous good and bad demons. I've been attacked by demons, I'll be honest with you. And like, you just got to brace yourself, hold fast, and ride it out when they attack you. Don't let them. They try to get you to change your path as well, and don't change your path. If you're heading towards the light, don't change that path. Don't let them frighten you. I've also seen materialized spirits where you can't see through them, solid matter. How they do that is amazing. But yes, some can. On about three occasions I've seen that. They can present themselves in materialistic form as well. Impressive. Some of them know how to do it, some of them don't. That's what I can say. And how they come from I've got loads of mirrors, and they come from the mirrors, or maybe there's a portal, or maybe it's me that attracts them. I don't know. But like, you know, they can come in all forms. But yeah, you recognise. Or when they talk to you using telepathy, you know who they are. They don't have to introduce themselves to you. You just know who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very true. It's very true. Yeah. And mirrors, I mean, my first experience with a mirror was when I say this loosely, was at Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum in Vegas. He has Bela Lugosi's mirror. So I was standing in front of the mirror, and I would say that it took me by surprise more than anything else. I wouldn't say I was scared or anything, but when I looked in the mirror, all of a sudden, the face that was forming in front of me was a very dark shadow, but the eyes were very, very golden and almost cat-like. And they were looking straight at me, and I felt like they were coming straight through me. It was the weirdest thing. It caught me by surprise, and I just kind of looked, and then I kind of walked away. But Bela Lugosi's mirror has obviously been known for scribing, and for, I mean, that was his portal for who he used to talk to in back in the days, you know.
Yeah, he actually played a lot of mysteries, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, Bela Lugosi, yeah.
Scribed the mirror myself, scribed the mirror, gazed, held the gaze, scribed the mirror, and I've seen different images that appear. The reflection of my face disappears, and the face of another person appears looking back at me.
That's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened. I mean, my face was gone, and what I was seeing was like a man's face with these really golden eyes. It was the most bizarre thing that I've ever seen. Thanks, Leah.
Yeah, so Morgan Roundtree says, I am definitely not a medium, but I am very sensitive to energy, and I can definitely tell the difference between yuck and pleasant energies. Thank you for sharing that, Morgan Roundtree.
Morgan, you're intuitive then, because that's what we call trusting your gut instinct, your intuition.
Yeah, you're able to tell the difference between the positive and the negative.
Exactly.
Yeah. Leah Lowe says, this is such an incredible topic. I love this stuff. Thank you, Leah, for joining us. And Beyond Contempt says, hello, everyone. Pop into the show and some love. Yeah, thank you, Beyond Contempt.
We should see if they have any questions.
And Medium Red, you're also a ghost hunter, a paranormal investigator.
I am.
And how long have you been doing that for?
Almost 3 years now with a group called K-Hawk Crew Paranormal locally here in Mesa, Arizona. I'm from Scottsdale and they're from Mesa. And we basically kind of stay in Arizona and do our residential investigations. We'll help anyone who has anything that's going on in their home that they are unsure about and need validation for. We will go in and help them out with that. We've got a great team. Where one leaves off, the other one picks up. We've got a great camera person, and then me being the medium, we've got a good friend of mine is intuitive, and then another one that's a very empathic, and then we've got a regular camera person that takes camera still shots. And we work really well together in tandem and really have gone in and helped quite a few families in the last 3 years.
Is there quite a demand for that in that area? Or?
Yeah, actually there is. You'd be surprised. We really have had quite a bit. A lot of people are very tentative about even contacting us. They oftentimes will feel like they're going crazy. They don't understand what's going on or why it's happening. And it's a little out of their comfort box to go to somebody and talk to us about it. So we're very understanding with them and try to guide them and let them know that we definitely can come in there and help them out as best as we can. I would say 90% of the time, it's always just a family member that's passed on that just has a message that wants to say something to somebody.
Yeah, it's like a residual energy type thing, right?
Correct. Right. Correct.
The difference between the difference between a ghost and a spirit is a spiritual entity is conscious-minded entity. It's a conscious-minded energy, and it can talk to you and have a conversation with you. A ghost is normally a residual energy trapped in the midst of time.
Exactly. Intelligent conversation. Exactly. If it's an entity, a spiritual entity, they're able to communicate with you. And basically, like what you and I are doing back and forth is basically just communicating back and forth verbally or however they need to communicate with me.
A ghost may not even know that they're dead. You know, they might they might be reliving the trauma or their previous life over and over again. They may not even know. And they don't even leave the home, or they might be trapped in the war. They could have been, battles of Gettysburg. There was ghosts there.
There's a lot of trapped energy there.
Yeah, that's right. Trapped in the ether. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, that's like I told you about the Lady of the Night in Clifton. She wants validation for her death. And so, unfortunately, since it happened in 1895, the husband's gone. I mean, he's dead. I would love to find out who he was, but so she literally relives her death from 11:18 to 11:35 every night. She relives that every single night like a loop, just like you're talking about. It's like constantly every single night. And it's sad. It's very sad.
How can she free herself from that?
I asked her when I was there, and she basically said, I cannot move on until I have, validation that vindication that he has paid for this crime. But how do you vindicate an 1895 murder? It's very difficult.
You know her name, right?
I do, yeah. I don't have a last name, but I'm trying to do research. Yeah, we're doing research to try to find out if we can find out who exactly who she was, who she is, who her husband was, where maybe they might be buried, things like that, just to be able to try to be able to communicate with her to let her know that her husband's passed on. Obviously, he's in a different realm than she is. She's still locked in this, horrible loop, for lack of anything else, and can't go on. So I'd love to be able to find research on him to go, look, he's already dead, to let her know that information, to see if that would be something that would help her.
Well, how long ago did that occur?
1895.
Well, more than likely he's passed by now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But whether or not he died in Clifton, Morenci, I don't know. That's the one thing that I need a good researcher on that for me. Because it's old newspaper clippings and things like that you'd have to go through to find out. Especially a murder of that magnitude, I can't imagine that it wouldn't be something that would be in the newspaper, reported in the newspaper.
Yeah, there should be some recording of it somewhere in the news.
Exactly.
David Nash is asking, do you all use many of the tech tools that are popular today for doing houses? If so, what tools have been most effective besides, say, like digital recorders?
Pretty much. We're old school. We will use the digital recorders. I have used an SLS camera and do like the SLS camera, at least if the thing I like about the SLS camera is that if someone's holding it and I'm talking about, there's an entity in this corner right here, it's a female, it's presenting itself here, they can use the SLS camera, and it usually 9 times out of 10 picks up exactly what the stick figure of an entity that's standing there. We've used ovuluses, we've used the K2 meter, the REM pod. Not so much those always in our investigations. But we use a photographer who takes still shots, and that's been very successful for us, because it's amazing that our cohort Betsy will take photographs. And she'll take a succession of photographs. She'll get something on one of them. And then, she's not moving. She's taking. And you can see where one has something in it and the next one doesn't. So
stick figures, do they show up like a stick figure or a light? Or
correct. Correct. Yeah. On the SLS camera, they show up as a stick figure. Correct. Yeah. So those are some of the little tools we'll use. Every residential investigation is a little bit different. It just kind of depends on what we're getting and what we feel like we need to use in that particular instance.
Yeah. David Nash said, do you use a ghost box, for example?
I've done the Estes box session quite a bit, where I will blindfold myself, put the noise canceling headphones on, use a spirit box. And we've been very successful with that. I'm a huge fan of that myself. I like that because it feels like the energy can use the voice box for me to even hear them more clearly, which is nice.
David Nash says Morenci is pretty old because of the mine.
Yep.
But there's a lot of paranormal activity there.
Exactly. Yep. A lot. And Clifton, if you're familiar, Clifton was a lawless town. It was one of the most lawless towns back in that time frame when they first opened up and were doing mining there. It was the wild, wild west. Shootouts, etc.
Anunnaki teacher says, hello guys and girls. It's the Anunnaki teacher. Godspeed to the learning. Are we doing a tarot reading tonight in this show? I'm game. I love you guys and the show and the subject matter. No, I have started to take up tarot card reading. I used to do it a few years ago. I'll read your cards as well, Medium Red, if you want to, over the days.
Sure. Why not? You can. I'm game for it. Whatever you want to do, guys.
I'm not going to do a tarot card reading on this show, though. No, I'm not Anunnaki. I'm not Benny. I'm not going to do a show reading on the show, but I will. I'm definitely going to do yours. I haven't forgotten you, Benny. Don't worry about that.
Very cool.
Yeah, tarot card readings is like the mirror to the soul,
They are. Very much so. I'm a huge tarot card reader, too. I love tarot cards. I love all the different decks, and how they speak to you, and each deck is a little bit different than the next, I have a girlfriend who does tarot cards, and she's always spot on. Always spot on.
Yeah, that's right. They are. Yeah.
I often wonder though, like if you have more than you have numerous decks, will like each deck give a different reading, or how does that work?
It'd be interesting to do that. I usually intuitively I'll put like 4 decks on the table, and then I'll just go, which one is speaking to me today, and that's the one I'll grab.
Right.
And then that one's going to be the spot on one. But it would be interesting to do an experiment to see.
Yeah, because I often wonder that, deck versus deck, would it change the reading itself,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I wonder. I would say probably not. I would say that the cards are there to tell you what's going on. So it would be irregardless of which deck you're using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do they have decks that have different cards with different meanings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got the Oracle, you've got the Tarot. I mean, you've got each one does a little bit different.
You got angel cards.
What's that, Bradley?
You got angel cards as well.
Yep, I got angel cards as well. Yep. My girlfriend has over, gosh, what'd she tell me? Like 20 or 30 decks.
Wow.
She has a deck I'm vying for. It's gold foiled. It's gorgeous. I actually went to the store the other day and tried to find something similar to it. It was not anything like it. It's really funny how you gravitate towards a certain deck of cards. So she brought a deck of cards in, and I was like, I want that deck of cards. And then she told me, she goes, they're $200. I'm like, whoo! It's probably real gold foil.
With them many decks, it must be hard to choose whatever deck you're going to use, right?
I know, exactly. Yeah. I have, at this point in time, I've got probably about 8 right now.
Morgan Roundtree says, been a tarot reader been a tarot reader since 14, but lately I've been called to Oracle decks. What would be the difference between Oracle and tarot?
Tarot is more the old-fashioned, where you have the way it was explained to me, which makes more sense to me, is tarot is very blunt and Oracle is very soft, meaning that it softens the delivery message. Would you agree, Bradley, on that one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And the same as angel readings are a lot softer as well.
They're even more softer than Oracle cards. Yeah.
Accurate but softer. Yeah
Either of the three are accurate. It's just a matter of how the information is presented. It's a little less blunt.
Yeah.
David Nash says, I've had like 2 accurate readings out of dozens. I feel it's the person's intuition over the cards.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Bradley, you have, what's her name that's on here that does the tarot cards? She's spot on. She's very intuitive.
Tiffany Reynolds, yeah. She's
Tiffany,
good.
yeah. Tiffany's awesome. She's done a reading for me when I've been on your show. She's done a reading for me, and she's actually done a reading for my husband as well, too. So, and she was spot on both times. So, yeah, I agree with that.
She's good, yeah.
Yeah, Tiffany's a very close friend of mine and Jim's, actually.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's very intuitive. She knows. Yeah, it makes a difference as to who's reading the cards, for sure.
Yeah, and she's spot on. You can tell she's legit because it just flows nice and free. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
And she's usually on point. So.
Yeah, exactly. She's nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah, and we had her on the show a couple of shows ago. We had her on here. Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Says he's been a tarot card reader since age 14, but lately I've been called to the Oracle decks. Yeah, well, go follow your intuition, Morgan. Our intuitive skills, our intuition is a compass to the soul.
It is, truly. So, Bradley, you were saying you were attacked by demons too. Did they scratch you, or what did they do to you?
Yeah, I've been scratched. Yeah, I have. Yeah, even recently, this week, I got scratched on the leg. Really bad scratch.
He likes it. He likes it when they scratch his back.
Yeah.
I got scratched on the back too. We had a case in it was the Sonoran Hills here in the desert, and it was kind of it was ruled a suicide. It was a suicide from 1968. And we went out, did an investigation. I did 2 investigations out there. One, when it was really interesting, I went out with another male paranormal investigator, and it was 2 females and 2 males. The male entity never, ever came near us or talked to us. We were able to talk to the mother and the 2 daughters very clearly. The second time we went back, it was with my team, and it was all women. And the man came forward, and he was quite the you-know-what. So he wouldn't let the mother and the children or the daughters talk. So I tried to, good or bad, I don't know, I bubbled myself with him and put him, kind of walked a little bit, a couple feet away from them into the desert. And you can actually see or hear on film, you can hear me go, ah! Something like that. And then my husband said I had 5 lines, very consistent lines on my back where he had scratched me. He was really upset. Our photographer was taking pictures, and she kept getting this movement of back and forth. And I was explaining that he was pacing because he couldn't get through my bubble to get on the other side. So that was his way of reacting to me. He just scratched me. So...
I've been punched in the face by a demon, and I do boxing. I used to, not anymore. And I had a demon punch me in the face. I went to put my key in the door, and I looked behind me, and I went, "Who are you?" And the demon punched me in the face, and I went straight down on my back, and I had to get backwards to get away from it. I stayed away from my home for 3 hours.
Did he leave?
Yes, it did in the end. Yeah. And then the following day, I performed a ritual to close the porthole that he come through.
Good, smart, very smart.
But a white witch says you shouldn't have closed the porthole because the demons that come through, you're trapped on this side of life now. I said, yeah, but I stopped him coming through, punch me in the face. Tiffany Reynolds was talking about. Tiffany Reynolds is joined us right now. Tiffany Reynolds says, "Hey, good evening, gentlemen, and hi to the guests." Tiffany Reynolds says spirits get upset with people and talk to who they want to talk to.
They want to talk to people when they want to talk to them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and they all choose different people for different things too, Doesn't mean we're right, wrong, or indifferent, and in the fact that they're talking, they may talk to you versus me, or they might talk to Jim. It's just a difference of who they feel comfortable with,
David Nash says, "I've had 2 accurate tarot card readings out of dozens. I feel it's the person's intuition over the cards." Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, David.
Absolutely. Again, I agree with that. I feel like if you're intuitive, you're going to have, like Tiffany, it's going to be a flow that's going to go from beginning to end. It's not going to be disrupted. It's going to be very flow, it's going to flow perfectly.
Yeah, thank you everyone for contributing to the show. Please feel free to ask as many questions as you can. Medium Red is in the house. Psychic medium. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Paranormal investigator. Ghost hunter. Extraordinaire. Yeah, like I've been attacked by demons, but they haven't frightened me into changing my path,
Good.
I've had them jump into my body and try and push my soul out of my body on one occasion. But and I give him a 9 out of 10 for trying, but he didn't win.
Jim, have you had any experiences too, or
not with any demons of any type?
Okay.
Or any like apparitions or ghosts or anything, but I am an alien abductee. That was my experience.
Right. Yeah, you were saying that. I'm very curious about that and wanted to talk more with you about that off camera too.
Well, we'll be doing that. We'll be doing that at the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim gets downloads from the short grays from the Zeta Reticuli constellation.
Zeta Reticuli, yeah.
Zeta Reticuli, yeah.
Have you ever encountered any extraterrestrials, medium red?
I have not, but like I was telling you guys earlier, I have a friend who was abducted, and she was in Vegas. I mean, she was abducted in Vegas and does not recall, like there was if I remember correctly, I think she was like a 30 to 45 minute lapse in time that she does not have a recollection of. So it was her and her friend were both abducted. I've actually done a few past life regression sessions on her and purposely tried to put her in that position mindset wise to be able to walk through and see more visualizations to try to get the brain to wrap around more of the information. And we've done 2 sessions and she actually has come up with more information each time. So it was very good for her to do that. I like doing past life regressions to see what other people have had for their past lives too. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I've had a past life regression where I was a 13-year-old boy in Prohibition times in, I want to say it was New York or Bronx. And I was a little redheaded, freckled boy, 13, and was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and I got shot. So it was wild. I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. It had something to do with the mob, and I got shot. The mob.
Leah Lowe says spirits, they don't scare her either. Thank you for sharing that. Leah Lowe says, I missed the start of the show, so I apologise if you covered it. When did it all start for you and how?
Basically, the first recollection I've had of it was when I was 5 years old, when I was in my room and I'd play with my grandfather, and it was just normal for me to do that. I would play with him in the backyard. We'd play Cowboys and Indians. It was, and again, I didn't know any better because nobody had said anything to me until, like I said, my mom came in the room one day during a tea party that I was having with my grandfather, and she went, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "My grandfather, Pap Pap." And of course, then that's when she wanted to put the kibosh on it. I didn't stop playing with him. I didn't stop communicating with him. I just got a little more creative and just gave him a different name and called him my imaginary friend. And that was okay then.
Yeah.
For some reason, an imaginary friend is okay, but talking to a dead person is not.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Anunnaki Teachers says portholes, wormholes, and stargates are all different. Yeah, I agree with him on that. And he says, can demons and shadow people fight you? I believe they can.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If their powers are strong enough.
Yeah, Anunnaki Teachers, no one's ignoring you. We are trying to answer as many questions as we can. Anunnaki Teachers, how do you trust the regression and each read?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Bradley. How do you trust the past regression
and each read? How do you trust the regression and each read?
So it's not really a reading. It's a past. I put you through a slight meditation and relaxation mode. And it's about you transforming yourself back into a state of mind when you were in another life. And I'm guiding you through that. I'm not really telling you what to do, but I'm guiding you through it. And your mind is the one that's going to be open enough to understand where your past life came from, if that makes sense. A guided meditation, for lack of another term, to determine what life you had in another life and time.
Yeah, and so Anunnaki Teachers, I've read everything you've posted here so far, so no one's ignoring you. Morgan Roundtree says, I did a past life regression on both my sons. One was brought to a life in the 50s. The other met one of his current spirit guides. I definitely have more to work to do on it. Yeah, well done, Morgan Roundtree. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Morgan. It's really cool too because, like I'm sure you saw with your past life regression, Morgan, that the details that come out. For instance, when they come out of the past life regression session, they'll tell you details that there's no way that they would even be able to know unless they were really part of that life back in that particular time frame. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But I totally agree that we're not just, this isn't our only one soul life. We've had multiple lives in many cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe life is one big, never-ending recycling process.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, have you ever done past life regressions yourself, Medium Red?
I have, yeah. I actually had two, and one told me that I was a 13-year-old boy that was shot because I saw something that I wasn't supposed to see in the 30s. And then the one that was the wildest for me was when it was like, I think it was 859 BC in Egypt, of all things. And I was a pharaoh's wife, and I was poisoned by one of the slaves. And interestingly enough, the pharaoh at the time was my current husband. So it was really wild. And I really feel it's interesting because I came back knowing that the slave had poisoned me because she wanted to be with him.
Yeah, jealousy.
Yeah.
And it's believed that as we reincarnate, we're together with the same people we were close to in a previous life.
Exactly.
Playing a different role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have two friends of mine who are very close to one another, and I swear to God, one was a mother and one was a daughter in a past life. The way that they talk to each other, it was like the roles were reversed. They're definitely, mother and daughter from another life.
Yeah, the way they click. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Penny Marie says, "Hi, I used to see ghosts, but now I hear or sense them. I don't understand if they are good or bad, so I never encouraged it when I was a child."
Penny, if you've got a gift, you can start practicing on it and learning more about the gift so that you can take your intuition and understand more if an entity is good or bad. I would say 99.9% of the time, entities are not evil. It is just somebody that's just trying to communicate with you. I had a friend of mine in Tucson who was going to do a cleansing, and we were on a group chat with one another, and she said that I guess the woman was hearing growling, and for some reason I just clicked into mediumship role, and I said something about unfinished business. There was an unfinished business that was going on, and she's like, I don't know, I'll text you and let you know. Well, at 8:00 that night, she texted me and said, are you available? And I said, I am. And the next thing you know, I just clicked in and I just started telling her, like, it's a gentleman that's about 80 years old. He's upset, and excuse my French, but I gave you one thing to do and you effed it up. And that was his words. And I said, Protestant Lutheran, was cremated. He wanted his remains spread in two different locations, something about Cleveland, Ohio, and something about Tucson. And so she was relaying this all to the woman, and the woman's like, how does she know this information? And I'm 100 miles away. I'm sitting in my house, and they're in Tucson, Arizona. And she come to find out, the gentleman, I said, where were the ashes spread? That's what he's asking. And I said, half of them were spread in the right spot. Where was the second half spread? And they came back and said, well, we were nervous about sending them to Cleveland, Ohio to his sister because we thought that the ashes might get stolen or, for God forbid, lost or something. So we spread them in the vegetable garden in the backyard. I said, ding, 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 ding. He's upset about that. I said, you need to get some dirt out of the backyard. Hopefully, wherever you spread the ashes, grab some dirt, ship it to Cleveland, because this is what he's upset about. He's upset that his ashes weren't spread in the right location. And come to find out that there was a little girl also that was his granddaughter, that his daughter had miscarried, and she was there, and she had grown up on the other side. And one of the guys that was part of the team that was down there kept saying, well, you know, my medium said that there was a portal to hell and there was a brown spot underneath the bed. So I asked my friend, I said, look under the bed, see if there's a brown stain under the bed or a portal under the bed. And she's like, there's nothing under there. And so I always say, like, you know, we as rational adults will look at something moving and go, well, that's the wind, that's the air. Or we'll hear something and we'll go, that's the dog, that's the cat, you know, or my child is in the other room. And we try to rationalize that sound or movement to be logical for our brains to handle. And then when you hear something growling in your ear, you most definitely are going to jump, and you're also going to start paying attention. And that's exactly what this man did to this woman, because he was doing things clearly throughout the entire house, but no one was paying attention until he growled. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, it's demonic. Oh my God, we need to have the house cleansed. Well, it wasn't anything that was demonic. It was a gentleman that was 80 to 82 years old who just didn't have his final resting place where he wanted it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We're coming up to the top of the hour now. Sorry we can't answer all your questions.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for participating and reacting with us. And thank you for coming on, Red. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you, Medium Red.
All on the next.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.